welcome to Grandmom's World. Hi, thanks for stopping in with Grandmom's World. Today I'm going to do a posting about Memorial Day. May 27th, we celebrate and pay tribute to our veterans. I thought about what I was going to say. Didn't know what I really would say. Didn't think I had much to say, but boy, I have a lot to say. There was a very special veteran in my life, which was my father, and I never really realized him being a veteran, how it affected my whole life. My father served in World War II as a master sergeant in the Army, and when he left, he said to my mother, "Love you, dear, see you in a year." He was away 5 years. Boy, these guys have given so much time for their country. Some of them, many of them, the ultimate price they paid and gave their life. Their families, what they gave and what they sacrificed for these wars. And today yet, all the families that are sacrificing and have their loved ones away, whether it's a man or a woman now. Memorial Day, my dad used to get up 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was a big day for us. The whole day was a tribute to the veterans. Weeks before Memorial Day, the men from the American Legion, my father being one, went out and cleaned the cemeteries. We have a lot of small family cemeteries in the area, plus some bigger ones, and they would go out and split up and clean the cemeteries every year. And early in the morning, he would get up and he would put on his uniform, and they would go get the guns, and they would go get the flags, and they would take the honor guard and visit these cemeteries in the morning and just do a private service, just them themselves, alone in these cemeteries, giving tribute to their fellow service people. When he came home from that, then we would go to our church and have service there. In the evening, there was the parade, and he would dress again. They would go get the color guard, and they would take off for the parade right down the main street of our small hometown. So Memorial Day was a big day for us. The whole day was a tribute to the servicemen. In the summers, we didn't go on vacations. We were a farm family in rural Pennsylvania, and we would go to the local hunting camp for vacation, or we would go to visit some of his Army buddies. We went out to Ohio, Indiana, down south. We'd visit these guys. Daddy always had loving thoughts for these men that served with him in the war. When Dad came home from the war, him and the guys here in the local town established the first American Legion post, Post 878. And they had a small shed they built along the street, and they sold hamburgers and hot dogs and ice cream on the weekends. The women would do the work, and the men would be out cutting the grass in this big piece of ground that they had purchased for their American Legion home. From that money, from that little stand along the road, they built their first home, and with it they built a restaurant. My mother ran that restaurant for 20 years. So then as a teenager, I also worked in the restaurant on that same piece of ground. Later on in life, wound up building a home right next to it. And I'm still only a couple hundred feet from that American Legion home. But in the summers and growing up, I played there with the other kids here in town, never realizing how important this veteran and what he did and the tribute he paid to his fellow men would make a difference in my life, and it did. So when I started thinking about making this posting, I thought, wow, my whole life has been revolving around this veteran. Later on in my life, after I grew up, I became a hairdresser. And I had worked the East Coast show circuit locally here, and then worked in shops also to gain some experience. At the time, I was engaged to a Marine that I had graduated from high school with. Anyway, he was in the war in Nam, the Vietnam War, and he came into Hawaii for R&R. I went over to visit him for R&R, and the day after I was there, I wound up with a job in a wonderful big shop, 24 operator shop. It was out of this world. I had gone to Waikiki Beach after he left to go back, and was sitting on the beach, flaming red hair, in a bikini, and there were two men sitting next to me about 20 feet away, and they yelled over at me, asked me where I was from, and I said Philadelphia because it was the biggest town around. Asked me what I did. I guess I was screaming tourist, and came over and sat down with me and said, "Oh, you're a hairdresser. You have to go see this new shop that just opened." Anyway, I went back, changed, walked over to the shop. It was beautiful. Big chandeliers, big room, 24 people working. When I left that shop that day, I had a job. Wasn't looking for a job, but I couldn't refuse it. So I stayed there and worked in Hawaii for a year till my mother became ill, then I came home. I lived 5 blocks off of Waikiki and about 7 blocks away from the Pacific National Cemetery. I had no idea it was there. As a child, I had visited Arlington Cemetery. There's 250-some thousand buried at Arlington, and it's quite an experience to go there. But my father had taken me on one of our trips to his Army buddies. In Hawaii, the National Pacific Cemetery is called Punch Bowl, and it sits in the crater at the mountain right about 7 blocks from my apartment. And one day I walked over to see what it was. It's a breathtaking cemetery just like Arlington. Now, this Punch Bowl Cemetery, there are 53,000 buried. Think of all those people that are buried just in those 2 cemeteries. Now, in Hawaii, every military installation there is stationed there. They have every service of every branch of the service represented there. Also, the Arizona Memorial and the Missouri that was sunk there. There's 117 servicemen alone in the Arizona in the ship under the water where the memorial is built. So thinking about Veterans Day, thinking about Memorial Day, yeah, it really did influence my life. I never married that Marine, but came back here and started my beauty shop practice here, bought a building, and I've been here ever since. But I'm still just about 1 block from that American Legion home that my father helped to build way, way back in 1958. So on Monday, May 27th, will be Memorial Day. And here in our little town, we'll have our parade. I'll miss going to the cemeteries to clean them. I miss my father. But what a wonderful veteran in my life. So on Monday, think in your life, what veteran do you know? How did he affect your life? And let's say thank you to all those men that gave their lives and to all those men that are serving today. What a wonderful service, what sacrifice they give up, what their families give up when they go away. Remember the service people. Remember the people that died to protect our country. Memorial Day is a big deal. In my life, it was bigger than what I ever thought about until I thought about it. So think about these things on Memorial Day. Think of a veteran you know. Give them a phone call. Go see them. The wonderful service they gave for all of us to remain free. So that's my Memorial Day, a tribute to my father. My father and my mother on their wedding day. That's my tribute to my father. Happy Memorial Day, and thanks for stopping by in Grandmom's World.